Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk about two new developments in the United States which are likely to affect Indians and people who are immigrants and people who are computer professionals who already work in the United States or are trying to work in the United States. So there are two new developments in the US. Which I think are should be of great concern to people who work in the United States and are kind of worried about what is going to happen in the United States. So we will talk about that uh, right now. But those of you who have not already subscribed to Conversations, please subscribe to Conversation, like this video, press the bell icon, and then share this video with others. Ashok Sahu Saab, welcome. You're first today. And I also want to tell people that I will be doing this in English, mostly in English, because this is a matter that affects a lot of people, definitely in India, but also in many other parts of the world, in East Asia, China, Singapore, in Latin America, in Ireland, and UK, and Europe too. So I will be speaking primarily in English. There are two issues that I'm going to talk about. One is that there is going to be a new law going to be passed as part of the US budget, which is going to charge 5% tax on remittances. So if you're working in the United States, if you are on H1-B visa, if you're a green card holder, and even I think if you are a student, as long as you're not a US citizen and you are sending money back home, there will be a 5% tax on that. And so I will talk about it as to what is happening with that particular bill. With regards to India, it's going to have at least, oh, there's somebody here from Delaware. Welcome, welcome, fellow Delawarean. So if you're not a citizen, this might be affecting you. So whatever money is sent back to your family at home, there will be a 5% tax. Last year, Indian Americans sent $32 billion to India as remittances, which is nearly 30% of all the total remittances of over $100 billion, which were sent to India. And so the 5% tax would amount to about $1.6 billion, which instead of going to your family and your dear ones, would now go to the American taxpayer. So I'm going to talk about that. And I'm also going to talk about some of the politics of H1B visa that has been going on for a long time here in the US, and it continues to happen. So it's not very clear how this matter is going to be resolved, but this is of great critical value. I also want to tell those of you who follow only Hindi language that I will be talking about this same issue uh, in English. Uh, on my Indian channel. So just go to, if you are in India, just go to YouTube and do a search saying Conversations 2025. Just make sure that there is no gap, Conversations 2025, and that will pop up. But I will not be doing that for another 45 minutes. So I expect to talk about 20, 25 minutes here in English and take question and answers. And then I will go to the other channel and do the same thing in Hindi, and then be happy to take question and answers. So, as you know, I haven't been doing live shows often. I'm new to this. Uh, and so I have learned something new today. So I'm going to share that with you. I have learned how to share documents. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to talk to you about the what's happening with the remittances, and I'm using primarily Indian media because uh, people in India tend to kind of think that, oh, I might not be, oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. Oh, no. Okay, this is not what I wanted to share. I'm just sharing this video. Stop sharing. I need to share the article. Uh, okay. So the article that I want to share with you guys. So this is an article that was published in the Times of uh, in the Indian newspaper Times of India. It says U.S. plans to tax remittances made by non-citizens. Indian diaspora could end up paying $1 billion plus. So So that is what I intend to talk to you about. So what the article really says that a new bill. So those of you who are in the United States and are watching U.S. politics know that the GOP is trying to pass a big bill, big and beautiful bill that Donald Trump likes to call. And in that bill, which is the budget of the year, really, what he's trying to do in this budget is welcome Khan Saab from Pakistan. So what he's trying to do in this budget is he's trying to give a big tax cut to the rich people. Even though he was voted in by the poor people, he's planning to give a big tax cut to the rich people. So now the problem is, in order to give the tax cut, they have to cut Medicare and Medicaid. That is, for those who are above 65, the federal government provides 80% of your health care. And then 20% of that comes from Medicaid. Medicaid is either funded by the US government, federal government, or the states. So what these people from the GOP, the Republican Party, are trying to do is to cut Medicaid and force people who are maybe even in the age of 70 to go and work rather than collect health insurance funded by the state. So this is a bit of a challenge and problematic. So we will talk. So with this bill, one of the things that they are trying to do in that bill is raise money as much as possible. So some of the money which will be going as tax cuts to the rich people, which is about $4 trillion over 10 years. So they have to raise at least $400 billion this year, and they're trying to raise that through tariffs partly. And this is one of the other methods by which they are trying to raise money. So if you read this paragraph, it says, according to a remittance survey published by the Reserve Bank of India in March, of the total remittances of US $118 billion in the last fiscal year, nearly 28% was from the US, with the UAE coming second. So about $32 billion came from the US, and that is what I was saying, $1.6 billion of remittance of that much money will be going to the U.S. government. So if the remittances are the same order, so instead of $32 billion going to India, $31.4 billion will go, $1.6 billion will go to the US government. But there's a problem here. You see, all these have already been taxed. So let's say that I'm an H1-B worker, just came from India, and I'm working in the United States. And so I get a salary of, say, $100,000. I pay about $20,000 to $30,000 in income tax, state tax, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all of that. So I get about, let us say, $72,000 cash, which will be what, $6,000 per month as my money. Now, this $6,000 per month is tax paid. This is post after I've already paid tax to the US government on my income. So now, of the $6,000, I decide that I'm going to send $1,000 to my parents who are living back home in India, who paid for my education, who have borrowed money, maybe by taking a second mortgage on their house to pay for my education in the United States, or they sold some property. So now I'm sending $1,000 back a month. So now what's going to happen is that of that $1,000, 5%, which would be $50, will now go in additional taxes. But look, it looks pretty small amount. But if you are sending $12,000 per per year to your family, you will be paying $600 as annual remittances tax on an income which is post-tax. So you've already paid income tax, you've paid state tax, and whatever other taxes, social security, extra to pay. So this money is post-income tax, and from that you're trying to send money. It's not a deductible before tax, so it's going to be kind of a double taxation, and this is also not treating everybody in the country equal under the law, because citizens are exempted. So if I was a citizen, and like if I'm a citizen, so if I send money to my cousins back home, I will not be paying these taxes. But if somebody else who is not a citizen will be paying taxes, I can tell you that I know some graduate students, especially from India, who get a very small scholarship. About $2,000 is what they get here at the University of Delaware. about 2000, a little bit more before taxes. And so after taxes, I don't know what they get, maybe $1,600 a month. And they may decide to send a couple of $100 home for their parents who are maybe poor. And I know a couple of cases of students who used to send a couple of $100 every month, which is about $16,000, which is half of the normal pay that a driver or a cook would get in India, 30,000 rupees. So they're about half of that, 16, 17,000 rupees for $2,000, $200 is what they would be sending. But now that $200, in order to send that $200, they would have to pay 10%, 10 rupees, $10 extra. So it'll become 210. But like I said, it is second taxation. So this is a new development. It has not passed. There are some objections because they want more deductions, some conservatives, Republic. So since they are demanding additional deductions, there is a possibility that that thing will remain in there. In the bill, they're going to vote on it again. It's in the committee, so they're going to vote on the committee by maybe Tuesday, and then Johnson, who is Speaker of the House, wants to have it done by the end of the week. And the manner in which they are trying to do it is such that it's not going to affect it. It's a kind of a procedural thing that they are using, so it will go straight to the Senate, and without much debate and without filibuster, it could pass the muster and become the law. It's quite possible that all Democrats will vote against this, and maybe they will be joined by two or three. The Republican from Indiana has already written an op-ed, an article criticizing this particular law or the bill or the budget. And so it's quite possible that they might face some resistance in the Senate. So this is one thing which affects Indian Americans the most, to the tune of close to $1.6 billion. So it appears these days that anything and everything that Donald Trump does seems to be having a negative impact on India. The second thing that is happening is with regards to the H1-B visa. So I want to share that with you, and we will talk about it. So here is the article that I wanted to share with you. This is also Times of India. It says fresh H1B row begins as MAGA freaks out over 120,000 visa approvals for 2026. And they are basically saying that these people should go home. So let me just point out to you what the basic plans are. So the basic plans with this is this. So the U.S. Immigration Services has revealed that 120,000 H1B visa applications have been selected for 2026, which is the lowest in the last 5 years. So it's a significant drop or reduction in the amount of H1B visas that were issued. So that's one point, that it's only 120,000. At one point, it was over 2,500, like 250,000 new people coming in every year. So the opposition is coming from people like Laura Loomer and Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, who went to jail for Donald Trump, was his strategic planner in the first term. He's on the outside right now. He's very anti Elon Musk. He called him an illegal immigrant or something like that. So these are people who are the populists. In fact, because of Laura Loomer, several people who were appointed by Donald Trump in his second term in the National Security Council were removed by Laura Loomer, who went to Trump and said, look, these people are loyal to you and these people are not loyal to you, and so on and so forth. So even though she is not in the government, she seems to be having a lot of, she's basically a podcaster, an influencer, who was always with Trump on the campaign. She's a kind of a shady character. And so she and these people are against the H1B visa. People who are for H1B are Elon Musk, David Sachs, and Vivek Ramaswamy. So they feel that we need to bring in very competent people, etc. So this is how the numbers are explained for 2026. It says that received about 358,000 applications. Even that has gone down. Apparently, last year it was over 470,000. So now less people are applying. That's because there are less jobs. The H1B program operates under an annual cap of just 65,000, but then there are so many exemptions that it went all the way up to 126,000. Uh, Now the problem is, and that is what people like Steve Bannon and Laura Loomer are saying, that right now the situation in the IT industry. Oh, let me remind you guys, conversation is now open to super thanks and super chats. So you're welcome to do a super chat if you're feeling like doing that. Anyway, so what is happening is that the IT industry is not doing really well right now. Everything's in a flux. With when DeepSeek came upon, there was a huge uh, freak out basically in the IT industry. Lots of people lost their jobs. I, I'm connected to some IT people and I see how desperately they're looking for jobs. I know people personally who have lost their jobs and are searching for jobs. So there is a dearth of jobs for people who are already here. They may already be citizens, they may be green card holders, or they may even have an H1 visa, I think. The visa is portable. So it's quite sensible, I think, for these people to say, look, we already have a dearth of jobs this year. There's mass layoffs going on in the IT industry. So why are we bringing in more people from outside if people inside already don't have a job? Now the problem is, let us say that you have laid off 20,000 English teachers. I don't want to use an IT example. This should make it very clear. So if you have laid off 20,000 English teachers, but there is still demand for 10,000 math teachers. So you have no choice but to go out there and issue H1B visas for math teachers. And you can't say, well, we have 20,000 English teachers who are unemployed. Let's use this American English teachers to do to teach math. That's not going to happen. So it's quite possible, if the IT industry can make the case that, look, the people who lost the job are people with old technology, old IT requirements. Some of their jobs have actually become obsolete because of AI. And now the new people that we are bringing in are people who are more competent with AI, who are on the cutting edge and who are going to take the American tech industry forward and give it the competitive edge that it always had. So that is possible, but I don't know that for a fact, really, because so many of these visas are issued to Amazon, to Google, to Microsoft, and other big, large IT companies. So we don't know in what capacity they are bringing these people. In the past, some of the Indian companies have cheated the H1B program by bringing in people who are not H1 visa, but who are on business visas as managers. So they were not tech people, they were managers who were brought to the US to say they are going to be supervisors, I don't know, human resource development or something like that, and then use them basically as programmers and IT people. So they artificially expanded the number of people who are brought from overseas. So a couple of companies who associated with India have got into legal trouble because of that particular practice. But nevertheless, I think there are these two issues which are going to be troublesome for not just those who are planning to come to the US and work in the IT industry, but a lot of Indians who are already here, who are doing their masters in computer science, who are doing their bachelors in computer science, who were looking forward to basically transitioning from the student visa to the H1B visa. And let me also tell you that even if Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy now has completely disappeared from the political scene, but if even if Elon Musk is able to put enough pressure on Donald Trump to keep the 120,000 plus H1B's visas intact without coming under pressure from the MAGA crowd and reducing that, it is quite possible that there will be delays in implementation and slowdown, etc. One of the things that students who are pursuing their PhD in the United States do is apply for something called a national interest waiver. So you can, if you have done something very special, let us say that you are an expert on Chinese missile technology. That's what your research is on. You're an engineer, you're doing your PhD, and you have done some research on Chinese missile technology. Oh, it's very easy if you can establish that you are an expert on Chinese missile technology, or you are an expert on hypersonic missiles, or if you're an expert on great radar systems, etc. You can easily, if you have research papers, you have scientific, if you have competence that can be demonstrated, then you can easily go to the government and say, look, this guy is very important. And so in national interest, in the interest of the United States, we should waive all other requirements and give this person a green card. So a lot of people at the University of Delaware or other universities, especially if you have an advanced master's or a PhD, and you can establish, like while you are doing your PhD, you've published papers, you have done projects, you've done consulting work, then you can just go and convince the government. There are lawyers who do this. It does cost a bit, but you can establish that, especially if you have citations and published papers and conference presentations, then you can establish that you are very special and you're beneficial for national interest. Oh, mashallah, Asim from Brunei. Wow, what great diversity today. So, so that is one way in which you can go. But even those who have got their green card or work permit through national interest waiver have been waiting for more than 2 years to actually get the paper in their hand. So you might get your green card waived, but by the time it comes to you, it's another 2 years, 3 years. So everything is going on a very slow motion, and I think it's deliberately slow to discourage people from coming and staying in this country. And so that is one. On top of that, DOGE has been reducing the size of the federal government and cutting bureaucracies, which means that the US CIS, which does the immigration services, will have lesser employees, which means it will take delays in processing every visa, etc. So, for example, uh, uh, I was checking today my passport and to see when the renewal is due. So I probably will pay extra for expedited renewal. It's not due soon, but whenever it becomes due, I'm going to go in. You can't send in if there is more than 6 months on it. But the moment it becomes less than 6 months, you can renew your passport. For those who are Americans who are listening to me, and if you have less than 6 months on your passport, do not wait. Pay that extra money. It might be a couple of $100, and get it quickly renewed, expedited renewed. It might uh, instead of taking 6 weeks, it might take 6 months. So please get that thing done because there are fewer and fewer government employees. I had a tax issue last year, and they had overcharged me. Basically, IRS sent me a letter overcharging me, and I tried to call and explain to them on 3 different occasions. I literally sat on the phone for several hours, and I just couldn't get a voice. And so I spoke to my accountant, and she said, Muqtedar, either you file a complaint in writing and then sit on it. They could take several years to respond. And if they don't agree with you, they will charge you interest for all those 5 years. So my suggestion is just pay up. So I ended up paying extra money this year for the last year's taxes to IRS because I couldn't get anybody on phone because they are so understaffed. Uh, Now, there might be other people who may just decide, well, they're understaffed, so let me not pay the tax because who's going to chase me? They don't have any people to chase. I don't want to be in that situation. I would rather pay more and be safe than dodge anybody. Namaskar, sir, from Aurangabad. Shubhankar, I was born in Aurangabad. In fact, in January last year, I went to Aurangabad after 38 years. So I am from Aurangabad. Muzaffar Deshmukh, salam and good morning from Kuwait, sir. Oh my God, we have so many different countries here today. So we have Brunei, we have the US, we have Kuwait, uh, and oh, that's very, and Delaware, of course. Uh, Koncham Koncham, Marchupoina. I was in Hyderabad in April, so I heard a lot of Telugu. And from Finland, Sushil Kumar, greetings from Finland. Oh, I was in Finland in 2016. It was no 18. It was their centenary year. I spent 2 weeks. And met your most of the senior government people. If you Google my name in Finland, you will see some photographs, etc., about my visit to Finland. It's a wonderful place. And Saif Sheikh for watching from Qatar. Oh my God, today seems to be a great day for foreign participation. Qatar, my God, how much did you get? There's a lot of questions asking where did Qatar get 1.2 trillion dollars to invest when its GDP, its total economy is about 250 to 300 billion dollars. Arunachal Pradesh, Mohsin. I've never been to Arunachal Pradesh, but my father worked in Arunachal Pradesh. He fought in the 1962 war against China, and so he worked in that northeastern region for about 2 years, and then went to Kashmir. Hanuman Verma is from Saudi Arabia. Oh, wow. That's great diversity. So, anyway, those are the two things I wanted to talk about. That I think the remittances will pass, and it's 5%. But the scary part is, Hanuman, if people in Saudi Arabia and other places come to know of it, NBS might get an idea and say, hey, what? I can do that too. Because people in the Gulf also save a lot more than Americans, and they send a lot more money. Americans probably send less than 10% of their income. Those Americans who send money probably send less than 10% of their annual income to their families back home. But I think people who work in the Gulf probably send more than 50, 60, 70% of their income home to India, partly because they're not offered citizenship in any of these countries. But some of my classmates had gone to Libya, and Libya is to insist that you spend 30% of your income in Libya itself. I don't know. Well, Libya is hardly a state now, it's more like a failed state. So I don't know what the situation is now. So if people have any questions, I will be happy to answer your questions, not just about these two issues, but about geopolitics, American foreign policy in general. Okay. Rathod, they're not putting Indians in trouble. They are putting. So what has happened is that there is a very strong anti-immigration sentiment. And so a lot of people who are what we call quote unquote traditional Americans, which means white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. So these white Anglo-Saxon Protestants are feeling that they are becoming a minority in this country. There are too many foreigners, too many brown people, and there's just not just too many, but they're also very influential now. So they are feeling as if their country is losing, as if they are losing control over this country. They also fear that the values of the countries are changing, and some of their own people have gone rogue. They have gone DEI, and they are into transgender and all of these non-Christian, non-Judeo-Christian values. So there is a backlash against that. There's a backlash against foreigners and a backlash against liberal progressive values in the United States. But they do want to get rid of foreigners. They want to reduce it. So there are people in the MAGA movement. Those who are rich and businessmen, they want foreign laborers, workers. But those who are middle and lower middle class, the working class, they just don't want foreigners. Even though, look, like what I teach at the University of Delaware, and I've taught in the last 30, 25 years in the US, nobody teaches what I teach. So I'm not taking anybody's job. This job would not exist if I was not in this country. So partly it is not true that immigrants are taking people's jobs. Even those who are coming to America illegally and doing some of the hard labor work, those are jobs which Americans would not take any other way. So they're contributing to America's economy. What they are also doing is reducing or diluting the white population in this country. So there's like a white nationalist backlash. So they're going after immigration. And in the past 10 years, Indians have kind of dominated immigration to the US. They are the fastest growing foreign community in the US. Like in H1-B, 85% will be Indians. Can you imagine that at the peak of it, nearly 85% of people who got tech visas were from India? So when people attack H1B, it appears as if they are attacking India. So I don't think they're targeting India. They are just targeting foreigners. They're targeting uh, basically either we are sending jobs abroad by manufacturing abroad, or we are bringing people from abroad to come here and take the jobs. So this is about keeping American jobs for Americans only. Uh, so you think Indian Muslims have liberty in India? It's a relative term. So, for example, if you notice that a large bunch of BJP people went to Karachi Bakery in Hyderabad and vandalized the bakery with the police watching. So I posted photographs. You can see on my Facebook and on Twitter of BJP workers going and beating up Karachi Bakery. They are stupid and ignorant. They think Karachi Bakery is something to do with Pakistan. No, it's a 75-year-old brand owned by Hindus. But the problem was that the police did not arrest anybody. The police did not stop them while they were breaking things. If a Muslim mob were to do that, you think the police will just stand and watch? They will go and bulldoze their homes the next day. That's the difference. That's the difference in India, even today, especially in BJP governed states. So, for example, Narendra Modi is going after the Waqf properties and he's trying to put Hindus on Muslim religious institutions boards and the Waqf boards, but they're not putting Muslims on Hindu temple boards. So there are some of these unequal treatments. India is nearly 15% Muslim, but there is no Muslim minister in the cabinet. So there are some signs which show you that there is a discrimination, and then every election campaign there's such anti-Muslim rhetoric that goes on. Look at this guy from Madhya Pradesh who called Colonel Qureshi, the woman who was a spokesperson during Operation Sindoor. He called her the sister of terrorists, and he's a leader of the Madhya Pradesh BJP government. So yeah, there is some discrimination. Uh, it's not as bad as the anti-Hindu discrimination in India, or more recently, the anti-Hindu violence in Bangladesh. No, Indian Muslims have more freedom of religion in India than, say, Hindus have freedom of religion in Saudi Arabia, even though there are many of them working. So, yes, uh, the answer is yes and no, both. So, yes, if depends on how you compare. If you're comparing with India, Bangladesh, Pakistan's minorities, yes, Indian Muslims are better off, no doubt about that. But if you're comparing the rights that Indian Muslims enjoy with regards to Indian Hindus, then that's not true. Even on reservation, like I went to an engineering college, and when I was applying to engineering, I would look at IITs, I would look at RECs, regional engineering colleges, and I would look at Usmania University and its group of colleges, and we would see the seats. And to me, the entire reservation, I never saw it as a caste system. I wouldn't say that 50% of engineering seats are reserved for OBC and ST, etc., so scheduled class and scheduled tribes and other backward classes. To me, it was okay, 50% are reserved for Hindus, because as a Muslim, I would not get any reservation at that time. Now in Karnataka, yes, there is some reservation for Muslims who have been classified as OBCs. In Telangana, also, they have been classified as OBCs. But as soon as BJP came to power in Karnataka, they stopped that. So yes, there is some discrimination. A journalist, so don't know if you already spoke why Donald Trump is going after India. Oh, these two things that I spoke about, H1B and remittances, I don't think he's targeting India in that. He's just going after money for remittances. I'm answering Sushil Kumar's question. So that is going after the money that non-citizens are sending abroad. So he wants to take a cut. And so remittances are going to be charged 5%. So Indian Americans send a large amount, $32 billion to India last year. So they will end up paying 1.6 billion taxes if they repeat that this year too. 1.6 billion in taxes. So the amount of money that goes to India will reduce by that much. It's not targeting those who send to China, those who send to Mexico, those who send everywhere else. So basically, what is going to happen is Hawala system is going to come back, I think, in a big way to avoid this 5% remittances tax. But the other statements that Modi made about to Apple to say that telling Tim Cook not to move Apple to India is partly because he wants to bring manufacturing home. Donald Trump's logic is that we've spent 30 years sending jobs to China, and China is now challenging us. So he wants to bring back manufacturing. That is the point of this whole tariffs. And he's saying, look, if you are going to move out of China, then come back to America. Don't go to India. India can take care of itself. So India is it's appearing as if he's going after India because Apple itself announced a month ago that more than 50% of all iPhones after June will come from India. And he's hoping to move all of it to India by next year. That was his plan because the tariffs on China were so high. But now I think Apple is in a flux because if Donald Trump can simply post some kind of surcharge, he could simply increase the tariffs on just on cell phones from India. If he imposes 50% tariffs on cell phones from India, Apple is screwed. But he's also partly angry with India, I think, because India, unlike Pakistan, did not give him credit for uh, bringing about the ceasefire. So I think he's a little angry with India and Modi. And we will see how that thing goes and how it plays out in the bilateral trade agreement. Shubhankar, yeah, good comment. I agree with you. I'm from Maharashtra, and I agree partly. I mean, I'm a Hyderabadi, but I was born in that. Most of my mother's family lives in various parts of Maharashtra, in Bidar, in Beed, in Aurangabad, and those places. And my wife's side family is from Pune, so there's a lot of kaidala going on in the family. But manufacturing went out because of hyper production costs. Yeah, Sushil, I don't think that manufacturing is going to come back to the US. No, sorry, manufacturing can come back to the US, but not manufacturing jobs. So, for example, if I was a CEO of Apple and I was forced to bring manufacturing back into the US, I would not hire human beings to do, I will hire robots to do all the manufacturing. Then I don't have to pay high salaries. I mean, the same, like, for example, the worker that you get in China for $15,000 a month, the worker that you can get in India of a year, the worker that you can get in India for five to $10,000 a year, that worker will cost you $70,000-$80,000 in the US. So just the labor cost will increase the cost of the iPhone by at least 300%. It'll become triple the value, the cost. So, but if I were to hire robots, then robots perform consistently well and they can work 24 hours and there is absolutely no cost, very little risk, no social security, no health care, no health insurance required. So yes, those who can get automate their manufacturing, I think they will bring back manufacturing to the US. But those who need human labor will be very reluctant to bring it back. Abhishek from UAE, Anupam Jain. Hello, Anupam. I just had a good conversation. I posted the photograph of our conference on the in the posts. They changed the name of the community tab to posts. So if you are looking at YouTube, it says posts. Click post, and you will see we had for the members of the Khanversations, we had a 1.5 hour meeting by Zoom. I got some good ideas from that Zoom, and I'm testing one of those ideas, which is doing English on this channel, which is blocked in India, and then after I finish here, I'll drink some water and then redo part of this in Hindi for those who are in India and are not using VPN. That channel has grown fast. Within 8 days, I've got 5,000 subscribers there, and it's growing very fast too. Uh, no, Sushil. Unfortunately, people who are the ones who need jobs, especially the MAGA people, they're not very well educated. That is why they are in trouble, and they haven't gone to college. They don't understand the future of technology. They don't understand how the world is changing, how productivity is changing. I remember that 20 years ago, uh, to give you an example, uh, during COVID, when I was teaching from here, this is where I sat 18 months in this room, didn't move. Luckily, I was finishing my book on good governance, so the first 7 8 months went out there, and then in the second part of COVID, I started Khanversations. I got the idea, but I was initially focused only on Delaware, helping Delawareans deal with COVID. So I had the governor of Delaware, all the senators, and everybody come here and talk about how to combat COVID, etc. So during those COVID days, etc., what became very clear is that there was a divide. There was a divide as to people who could work from home and who could not work from home. So there was a tech divide. People, like, for example, Malaysia didn't have the capacity for remote working. So they had to shut down companies and thing became. So there was this internet access divide. Before that, there was uh, basically access to computer divide. So now the new division is going to be access to artificial intelligence. Do you know how to use ChatGPT? Do you know how to use Grok, etc.? So that is the challenge. Those societies which are going to use AI will be more productive. So unfortunately, people who are in the MAGA thing, they are stuck in the economies of 1970s where they want manufacturing. Forget about manufacturing. We need to be on the cutting edge of IT, not just IT. Whether you're doing biotechnology, whether you are doing physics or mathematics, you have to be able to use. One of my friends in India, he he's a very famous IT professional. He's the only Indian who has satellites in space, which Elon Musk sent, but he makes satellites. He's from Hyderabad. So I was talking to him. He's the one who drove me all the way to Charminar. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, he picked me up and drove me to Charminar. So on the way, he gave me a pretty good pep talk on Microsoft's Copilot. And he says that I use Copilot now, which is an AI program. And he says that the regular coding, which is like boring, mechanistic, 40 to 50% of the coding is now done by Microsoft Autopilot. And so his productivity in the last 2 months, he's about to become 60 now. So his productivities from last year to this year has multiplied, not double, but multiplied, because a lot of boring routine work that he used to do in coding, for example, now Microsoft Copilot is helping him. In fact, I keep forgetting. Thanks. I'm glad I remembered it just now. I realized that I can use Microsoft Copilot in PowerPoint to make my thumbnails much faster. So maybe I'll try it tomorrow and see if I can reduce. It takes me about 20-25 minutes to make a thumbnail because I enjoy doing it. It's a creative process. So I try not to use a lot of AI related creativity because then I won't be happy. Ismail Muhammad, thanks for joining. So maybe I'll try tomorrow and I'll let you know next time that how Copilot on PowerPoint. I'm not a techie guy, so I won't be able to tell you whether it's going to increase my productivity or not. But I think that's the new divide. So these MAGA people are nowhere there. They don't even know what the hell is ChatGPT and how they can get jobs and move forward. They still want mining jobs and manufacturing jobs, which is absolutely ridiculous. You know, my sister is into robotics, and she develops robots who do lots of fantastic work. She thinks that very soon they will be able to replace nurses with robots. So there'll be more jobs like that gone. So what is going to happen to the nurses? I mean, they can keep voting for people like Trump, but those jobs are not coming back. If you remember, in the olden days, typing was a skill, and so you could get a job and a career for a lifetime as a typist. You could get a government job as a typist and then retire with a government pension and full health care in many parts of the world. Today, everybody is expected to know typing. Typing is not a skill. It's not something you put on your CV anymore. You know, sometimes my wife says that there are people who apply for jobs in her library and they actually write on their CVs that they know how to use Word Perfect and Excel. And she's saying, I am assuming everybody can handle Word Perfect and Excel. So it's like that. Shukla Sahab, Amit has a question. Hello, sir. You take on India reaching out to Taliban. I find the Taliban business quite funny. You know, a lot of Hindu nationalists come here and they call me radical Muslim. Radical Islam should be removed from the earth, the real enemy of all places in the world. The radical Islam is a problem. Radical Islam is Hamas. Radical Islam is Hezbollah. Look how much trouble they are causing. So the biggest enemy of Hindu nationalism and BJP and RSS is supposed to be uh, radical Islam and their jihad. And guess what? The only Muslim friends that Narendra Modi has in South Asia are the Taliban, the radical Islamists. They're not friendly with Pakistan. They're not friendly with Bangladesh. They're not friendly with Maldives. So to me, it's pretty funny. I think Pakistan abused Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is very pissed with the way Pakistan has tried to use Afghanistan for their national interests. Pakistan does not have strategic depth. So, how do I explain to you strategic depth? So, if you're playing a very fast bowler, then step out of the crease. So, stand 1 foot outside the crease and bat. So, if he's trying to york you, he might give you full tosses that you can smack. But if he bounces you, then there's enough space between you and the wicket to take a foot back without committing a hit wicket. That is strategic depth. Pakistan didn't have that, India has. So if Pakistan attacks India very hard in Punjab, India can retreat till Bengal and keep fighting. But Pakistan, if India attacks within 10, 15 minutes, you're into Lahore and there's no strategic depth. So they wanted to use Afghanistan as a strategic depth against India. So basically, they tried to colonize Afghanistan and they abused the Afghans and used them in the last 20, 30 years. And so the Afghan, even the Taliban, who could not have defeated the US without Pakistan's help, turned on Pakistan after 2021, after the US withdrawal. And because nobody in the world recognizes them now, except to some extent India, they find common ground. So basically, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That is the principle that India is using to become friends with Afghanistan. Even though India does not advocate for Afghanistan, India has not recognized the Taliban government. India does not push for the rest of the world to recognize the Taliban. So they are just using them. In fact, a lot of anti-India terrorists and former terrorists who are retired in Pakistan in the last 5 years were killed by the people that they say India hired from the Taliban movement and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Government foreign country main, I don't know what Mandal is saying. Sir, what are the views on book? I have to do a show on Veer Savarkar. That's a long discussion. So I have 5 more minutes, so I will be happy to take questions along with super thanks and super chats. And so, uh, yeah, I mean, the Afghan Pakistan relations is much, much more complicated. But in this war, in fact, the country that supported India the most is Afghanistan. If you go to Dr. Jaishankar's Twitter account, the X account, you will see he specifically thanked Muttaqi, Amirullah Khan Muttaqi, the acting foreign minister of Afghanistan, for supporting and standing with India so firmly. Bhaumik Shukla. Let me scroll up and see if I can find your question. I did not see your question. Bhaumik. Uh, Hanuman Verma from Saudi Arabia. What's good thing to soft action against Pakistan instead of military action? I think India should invest heavily in Indian Kashmir. India should not try to upset them. The relocation of 80,000 people from outside Kashmir has upset Kashmiris a lot. They're very frightened that the demographic is being deliberately altered by the Modi government. So there is some sympathy for the terrorists, I think, inside Kashmir also. So India should not do that. India should. So let me give you an example. So when when we were, when I was in India, all of us in India have servants that come and work at home. So we were having trouble with our servants. So my mother then asked me, "You are an MBA. Give me an advice on how to manage my staff." She said, "How to manage my staff?" This woman who comes and cleans the house and works. So I said, "Why don't you double her salary?" She said, "What? I already pay her more than everybody." I said, "Just double her salary for 2 months and then fire her. Nobody is going to pay her what we will be paying. So she will come back, and this time you can rehire her on your own terms." And my mother implemented that plan. She doubled the salary. 2.5 months later, she fired that servant, and the servant got couldn't get a job at the same pay. So she came back and said, "Okay, I'm sorry. I will work on when you want me to come and work, and so please give me back my old job." So my mother had to pay extra, but she got what she wanted from her servant on time, punctual, doing a good job. Sometimes she would not even wash the plates, and we would try to eat the plates, and the plate would still be dirty. But that's what I think India should do. India should invest in Kashmir and improve the quality of life with Kashmiris so they can see what is happening in Pakistan occupied Kashmir and say, "Oh my God, we will become like that if we leave India." So being part of India should be made attractive for Kashmiris. I think that will end this whole thing. Then India can even have a referendum if they want, and Kashmiris will stay in India because it is worthwhile. Like for example, Puerto Rico, if they want to stay in America, Philippines wanted to become a state of America. I think if we have a referendum in Canada, Canada's per capita income is $54,000. The United States per capita is $85,000. So we are like, take Canada, add Japan to it, then it becomes like the US. We are so much richer. So if the Canadians actually look at the math, etc., their quality of life will become better if they become part of the US, except that the US has pissed them off. But if we had approached them in a sweeter way and say, look, it makes a lot of sense to integrate like European Union, let's integrate and become one big country, Canada would have joined the US. It would have been bad for us. I would protest. I'm literally against Canada because it's going to increase my cost of absorbing Canada. They are used to free education, free healthcare, and they don't have money. So my tax money would be going there. So the same thing with Kashmir, make their life so much better and attractive that they don't want to go anywhere. I don't know about their mindset. It's not as if India's mindset is great. Yeah, don't use this word mindset. It's a very generalization. People have different ways of thinking. Yes, India doesn't have a great mindset. Nobody's India's friend in South Asia. Every country has a problem with India, whether it's Bangladesh, whether it's Pakistan, whether it is Nepal. There are only three Hindu countries in the world, Hindu majority countries: India, Nepal, and Mauritius. Mauritius is too small to take seriously. So Nepal and India are the only two Hindu majority countries which are neighbors, and the relations is not very good. India actually kind of did to Nepal what Saudis tried to do to Qatar. They blockaded Nepal, put a lot of pressure. The Nepalese are not very happy with India even now, even though the relations have technically improved a bit. Canada is bigger than the US, most in area, but in population, it is less than one tenth of the US. In fact, I think if Canada became part of the US, We have, I think, more than 40 to 45 states of the US will be richer than Canada. It'll be one of the in the bottom 5 or 10 in terms of wealth. Uh, all right, it's time to go. Thanks for reminding me, Mohsin. Ismail, thank you very much. Your generosity is overwhelming. And I'm going over to the Indian channel. Those of you who live abroad, if you want to hear me chat about these things in Hindi, you're most welcome. I will log off here, drink water, and then start on the other channel. It's Khanversations 2025, just one word. Take care. Salam alaikum, namaste, sat sri akal, wanakam, and bye. Good night.